Okay, so another thing that I have always watched long ago was the James Bond movies, the 007s right here. This one I don't remember. The 007s movies that I've watched a long time ago that I am more familiar. Right now I don't have it with me. I do, but it's somewhere else, but I don't want to get it because it's a lot of them. I'll just put it on the screen for you guys to know which movies I've watched or which movies I remember. But it was with Sean Connery. He is the main 007 that I grew up watching, and of course I've continued to watch 007 throughout the years. I forgot the actor's name, but he is in the recent films of 007 and he's pretty good. I enjoy watching 007s with any actor out there, but this one, I guess in particular, Tomorrow Never Dies, with an actor that I'm not too familiar. Of course, I'm gonna read this. This is PG-13. Okay, I'm gonna skip something because this one's kind of covering it for some reason. It says, someone is pitting the world's superpower against each other and only James Bond can stop it. When a British warship is mysteriously destroyed in Chinese waters, the world teeters on the brink of World War III until 007 zeroes in on the true criminal mastermind. Bond's do or die mission takes him to Elliot Carver, Jonathan Pryce, a powerful industrialist who manipulates world events as easily as he changes headlines from his global media empire. After soliciting help from the Carver's sexy wife, Paris Terry Hatcher, Bond joins forces with a stunning yet lethal Chinese agent, Wai Lin, Michelle Yeoh. Oh, Michelle Yeoh! In a series of explosive chase, brutal confrontation, and breathtaking escape as they race to stop the presses on Carver's next planned news story, Global Pandemonium. With powerhouse action sequence including a wild motorcycle pursuit through and over Saigon, Tomorrow Never Dies is a thrilling action adventure that roars from start to finish with the throttle wide open. Okay, so Michelle Yeoh, I know her. She's very popular nowadays with a lot of movies like Shang-Chi, and so this is Michelle Yeoh, I believe, in her prime with the 007. And she has been in some Jackie Chan films as well. So she is a nice Asian representation in film and media, and she is a very good actress as well. However, I'm not too familiar. Maybe I remember pieces of it. Maybe if someone pulled up some images, I might be able to remember a scene here and there. But for this movie, if it's not Sean Connery, probably don't remember too much for it, or if it's like the more recent ones. So I can't seem to rate it, unfortunately, but no doubt I've seen a lot of James Bond movie. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, so this one is a DreamWorks animation called Ants. So you have this, and then you have Ants. So I'm just gonna read this real quick. This is rated PG. So very smart and very funny, okay. From the Academy Award winning studio that brought you Shrek, DreamWorks spectacular comedy adventure, Ants was crowned King of the Hill by audience and critics alike. With its superstar cast and breakthrough visual effects, everyone digs Ants. Life is no picnic for Z, a small worker ant with some very big ideas whose chances of winning the heart of the beautiful Princess Bala are literally 1 in a billion. But when Z convinces his soldier ant buddy to switch places with him, his simple life takes a wild turn, from his battles in the termite war to his search for Insectopia. Z's adventure lands him in a final confrontation with the ruthless general Mandible, who has plans to liquidate the colony. Once the more insignificant of workers, Z may just turn out to be the biggest little hero of all time. Or of all. I just added the all time. This is a fun movie. I think this kind of is sort of like a Bug's Life type adaptation, which is fine. I think it is a good movie to watch. Nothing too crazy, but I think this is a nice film to watch with other people, and it's not too bad. The animation is very interesting, definitely different from Bug's Life, and I think they incorporated it in a nice way. It has its own charm to it, is basically what I'm trying to say. And basically you have this guy named Z. He's the main character. He is very weak looking, short looking, not that powerful looking, except for his warrior ant best friend. They switch places. Ants have certain jobs. You either are a worker ant or a soldier ant, and Z is a worker ant. His best friend is a soldier ant. The reason why he switched with his buddy is to get closer to Princess Bala, the princess, and Z is in love with her. So he asked his buddy to switch with him so that way he can meet or say hi to Princess Bala, but instead he goes on to war to fight against the termite, which he never expected. And he experiences war firsthand. Later on, he gets into a fight with General Mandible, which Princess Bala is supposed to be his fiance, and so that kind of made them outlaws. They ran away from the anthill, and they go on an adventure on a picnic to find the Insectopia, which they did. And then they came back for their friends because General Mandible is trying to sink for domination. I think he's trying to take over the kingdom, stuff like that. I forgot what his true plans were, but he is the main villain of this story. But they are able to save the day, and they go back to Insectopia and live happily ever after. That's basically the story of it. This one, I'm gonna give this a 6.8. So that is Ants. This is also a nice one. This is called The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Now this is a separate 2 short films combined into one. So you got Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I'm just gonna read real quick. This is a classic OG type film, and it's Disney masterpiece, I guess. It says, in the great tradition of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Cinderella, Disney's 11th animated masterpiece, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, introduces 2 literary classics to the screen. Through award-winning Disney animated wizardry, these unforgettable children's stories come together as one fabulous adventure in a 50th anniversary celebration. The Wind and the Widows follows the wild ride of J. Validus Toad, squire of Toad Hall. Smitten with motor cars, the wealthy, reckless sportsman soon drives his close friend Mole Rat and Angus MacBadger into a worried frenzy. Then meet Ichabod Crane, the spineless schoolteacher who dreams of sweeping the lovely Katrina off her feet until Brom Bones, the town's bully, gets involved. Their comic rivalry introduces Ichabod to the legend of the Sleepy Hollows, the fabled headless horseman, in a hair-raising, heart-thumping climax. Narrated by the legendary stars Basil Rathbone and Bing Crosby, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is brimming with high-spirited adventure, brilliant animation, and captivating music. Now available for the first time in keeping with Walt's original theoretical vision. Rated G. This one is fun to watch. It's fun to watch. Nothing too crazy. 2 stories are pretty good. Mr. Toad, he's kind of mischievous. Like, he gets into trouble and he has his friends, but they kind of take care of each other. This is an old movie and I don't remember too much of what happens or what went on. But basically, he got into a trouble and then he finds out something that he shouldn't have, but he gets into trouble. Oh, he actually goes to jail. I remember that part. But afterwards, he tries to bring trust to his friends and they kind of work together to pull out the real villain, I think. That's how the story, I think, goes. And then Ichabod is a teacher. He is beloved by many. However, Barn Bones doesn't like him because he is after Katrina, the beautiful girl. And you will see that is her dancing with Ichabod. This is the scene of the badger and the mouse detective, a policeman, and someone tried to frame him or something, but they were able to work it out. Ichabod, the movie was kind of confusing because in the final scenes, Ichabod is faced with the headless horseman, which was pretty epic. However, I don't know if he survived or not. I don't know if he died per se, but yeah, these are fun movies to watch. Both of them are nice. I think both of them have different things that bring to the table. But I think overall, I like the Mr. Toad movie or story. So this one, I'll give it 6.4 for this Ichabod and Mr. Toad adventure. Now, I have somehow found one of the movies, Thunderbolt, Sean Connery. So these are the types of movies that I have watched. Of course, there's other movies that I've watched with Sean Connery. I'll let you guys know. I think You Only Live Once or Twice. That's one of them. Goldfinger, and there was a lot more. But Thunderbolt, this is an aquatic, underwater type film, and it's rated PG. I think old films are rated much lower just because they're old and they don't make it where newer generation films make it. I don't remember too much from this one. I think You Only Live Twice is my favorite film out of all the films because the setting I remember is in Japan, which I'm really interested in. But here it says what the story is. The thrills never let up. James Bond drives into this reverenting adventure filled with explosive confrontation and amazing underwater action sequence as Agent 007 Sean Connery brings his characteristic style, humor, and magnetism to one of the most exciting films of phenomenally popular series. In a bold and deadly scheme, the evil Spectre organization hijacks a NATO plane and seizes 2 atomic warheads, each capable of killing millions of innocent people. As the world is held hostage by the threat of a nuclear nightmare, Bond jumps into action, racing against the clock as the trail leads him to tropical NASA. There he meets Emilio Largo, Adolfo Celi, a high-ranking agent of Spectre, and the stunning Domino, Claudine Auger, with whom he shares an irresistible attraction. The confrontation builds to an epic battle of the ocean floor as Bond and his allies fight to avert a catastrophe of immense proportion, from 007's thrilling jetpack flight to his heart-stomping clash with Largo's killer sharks. Thunderbolt is a stupendous mixture of action, romance, and edge-of-your-seat suspense. So there is some suspense with a lot of James Bond movies. Some of the things that you notice with James Bond movies is that James Bond is pretty much a ladies' man. He has cool gadgets that help him win his battles and defeat his enemies, and he comes out on top most of the time. He is quite quick-witted, as in like he's able to be very responsive to a lot of different side of situations. He's very adaptable, flexible. He's able to come out on top of different types of situations no matter what type of circumstances he is in, which is very nice to see. Nowadays, the more recent James Bond movies is more action-packed, not a lot of comedy, not a lot of wittiness, I guess, but that's what I liked about some of the old James Bond movies. And yeah, it's very fun to watch. James Bond has been, I would say, introduced by my grandpa. He's the main collector of these James Bond series. So he's the one that kind of introduced me to James Bond. And another movie I remember was Dr. No. So yeah, I've watched a lot. So that is James Bond. Sean Connery, he passed away, but a lot of his films, even in the Indiana Jones film and a lot of the other films, I think most of the films that I remember from him is gonna be from James Bond. There's so many movies, of course, but I think I got through a good majority of it. I'm gonna introduce this movie. Very old movie. I don't know if people seen this or not, but it is called, and here's the back, 55 Days at Peking. So I'm just gonna read the description real quick. I don't know what this is rated, it doesn't say, but it says the film 55 Days at Peking is a stunning Hollywood epic, a powerful production with a cast of thousands that packs the screen with action and romance. It is a sweeping story of loyalty, love, and a small group of foreigners are trapped inside the forbidden city of Peking. Under siege by thousands of Chinese fanatics, the courage and leadership of a U.S. Marine, Charlton Heston, and the British ambassador, David Niven, are the only hope against insurmountable odds, while a beautiful Russian courtess, Ava Gardner, must choose between freedom and commitment. Bronston's 55 Days at Peking is an unforgettable tale of unparalleled fury brought to life with passion, romance, and violence of a historic time. So this is pretty much back in the day. It's basically China versus everyone else. So they are basically holding the line. They are holding the wall, and China is trying to take over it. Every single day, the wars going on back and forth. They're coming up different strategies to overcome each other. And towards the end, they won. How they won is they were able to call forth reinforcements. That was an epic scene. I remember that part where they reinforced like people from different nations. It kind of looked like United Nations coming together to defeat China, and that was pretty interesting to see. I don't remember much, but I do remember watching this. A lot of action, of course, a little bit of romance here and there, but you see so much people in it that it is kind of amazing to see. So this one was pretty good. I will give this 7.3. 55 Days at Peking. There's also a lot of VHS tapes that don't have like case to protect them, but here's one of them. This is X-Men Evolution, Mutants Rising. The color is 84 minutes and is not rated. So this is something that I love X-Men. I love the animated movie, TV shows of the X-Men series along with the live action. I've been keeping up with the live action. You have like classic characters like Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean, Nightcrawler, Charles Xavier, Magneto, all that stuff. So I'm a pretty big fan. I love Marvel, again, I told you, and superhero stuff, superpowers, anything to do with that. So, and Warner Brothers. So this is something that I love watching. Now this is probably a movie, not the TV show, so I don't know what this movie contains, unfortunately. Maybe later on I'll check it out and make another separate video of it, being able to rate it accurately. But since I haven't seen this, or I probably have seen it, but I don't remember too much on it, I will not rate it. Same thing with the previous movies. I haven't rated them because I haven't seen them or I don't remember. So that is that, but we still have that. All right, next up, I'm pretty sure I mentioned some movies about this, but here is another 007 movie right here. And this one is called On Her Majesty's Secret Service James Bond Collection. So this is what it looks like on the side, right here and right here, and this is the case. Now, I've said this before, Sean Connery is the James Bond that I'm more familiar of. This person, this actor, I'm not sure who he is, but I do appreciate watching any James Bond movies. Like, even though the actors might change, or actress possibly in the near future, which it probably would, James Bond is such a classic and iconic character that I doubt they will have people not reminisce about it or want another movie about James Bond. And this is PG rated, which is pretty interesting. A lot of the old movies are in the G rated or PG rated just because I think the rating was different back then, or the newer future movies are rated more differently, or the content nowadays is a little bit more explicit, or it could be a little bit more daring. I don't know how the rating system is, but we'll take a look at this one in the back and see what it is all about. It says here, just as James Bond finally discovers true love, he is thrown into non-stop thrills and chills in this explosively entertaining action/adventure. George Lazenby leaps into role of Agent 007 with supreme confidence and undeniable charisma. When Bond's usual intelligence sources fail, he enlists the aid of crime boss Draco, Gabriel Ferzetti, to track down Ernest Blofeld, Telly Savalas, head of the evil Spectra organization. The trail leads to the mountains of Switzerland, where Bond goes undercover in Blofeld high-tech headquarters. He encounters a bevy of seductive women, but none more beautiful than Draco's daughter, Tracy Diana Rigg, who wins 007 over with her fervent independence, caustic wit, and love of adventure. Bond pledges his eternal devotion to her, but there are more immediate concerns. Blofeld is poised to unleash horrific germ warfare, a weaponry that will endanger every living thing on Earth. Artillery-laden ski pursuit, incredible stunts, and even spectacular avalanche drive this action-packed adventure to a sensational climax, and in developing the romance of Bond and Tracy on Her Majesty's Secret Service builds to the most emotionally charged finale of any film in this dynamic series. With any James Bond, the setting, the plot is kind of simple. The hero is James Bond. Some evil guy is trying to take over the world or do something horribly evil. He goes and stops them and saves the day. But, you know, it's classic James Bond movies that we all enjoy watching now and then. It's kind of like Mission Impossible, where they do a lot of stunts and go through a lot of action sequences that they probably had to go through. They also travel all around the world, and we get to see some nice landscape as well. But I don't remember watching this one. Maybe some pieces in my memory are still in there, but for now I'm not going to rate this at all because I don't remember, unfortunately. But like I said, with the James Bond, Sean Connery, I have 4 movies of him, so I'm gonna showcase the ones that I have watched. So classic one, I remember this one, Goldfinger, James Bond. That's the man right there that I grew up watching. Or this is also PG. Even though there's kind of some seductive scenes, even though there's some action scenes, even though they're, I don't know, maybe back in the day. But yeah, this is Goldfinger, one of the Sean Connery movie that he has done. So there's the case of it. Here's that. Here's the description. Of course, these movies I've watched, it's been a long time, so I don't remember too much, so I'm going to read the back of it and see what it is and see if I could recall some of my memory. It says, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Bond is forced to choose his next victim more carefully. Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger?" Oh, so it says, from shocking prologue to exhilarating mid-air climax, Goldfinger is a lightning-paced adventure that pits 007 against one of the most formidable opponents. Sean Connery is Agent 007 in this teen parrot thriller brimming with non-stop action, humor, and almost unbearable excitement. The powerful tycoon Auric Goldfinger, Gert Forbes, has initiated Operation Grand Slam, a cataclysmic scheme to raid Fort Knox and obliterate the world economy. James Bond, armed with his specifically equipped Aston Martin, is accessory package including built-in machine guns, a smokescreen, and an ejector seat, must stop the plan by overcoming several outrageous adversities. First, there's odd job Harold Sakata, the mute servant who kills the boss, kills the toss of a lethal hat. Next, beautiful Jill Masterson, Shirley Eaton, who gives new meaning to the phrase golden girl. And finally, sexy pilot Honor Blackman, whose romantic feelings for Bond complicate her involvement in Goldfinger's high-flying scheme with style, wit, and wildly imaginative stunts sequence. This adrenaline-charged adventure ranks as one of the all-time great action films. It's an electrifying thrill ride that will captivate viewers from beginning to end. So this is also very iconic movie. There's even like a video game. I remember going to my best friend's house and I remember they played like a Goldfinger James Bond video game, and this movie is inspired by that. And there were some other James Bond video game styles as well. I remember one of the villains being Jaws. It's a villain who's very big, tall, and has like a very silver like fangs for his teeth as a weapon. But yeah, Goldfinger, very fun movie. This one I'm pretty sure is like one of the big Sean Connery movies that a lot of people would recognize and know. So even though I don't remember too much, I do remember some of the action sequence. Odd job, plastic character, big chubby Asian guy who has like a hat that has blades on the sides and he throws it like a frisbee or like a boomerang, and a good time to watch. I'm gonna rate this a 7.4 for Goldfinger, James Bond. And the next James Bond movie I would like to show is called Dr. No. So here's the side, here's the back of it, and then here's the tape. I remember watching this one. The villain, he's quite intriguing looking. He's quite like, he has metal arms or hands, which was pretty interesting, but this is also PG rated, which is pretty interesting. But here we go. Let's see what this one's about. I remember some parts of it. In his explosive debut, film history's immortal action hero blazes through one of the most spectacular adventures with inimitable style. Sean Connery embodies the suave yet lethal cool of Agent 007. Bond's mission takes him to the steamy island of Jamaica, where mysterious energy waves are interfering with US missile launches. As he unravels the astonishing truth, 007 must fight deadly assassins, sexy feminine fatales, and even a poisonous tarantula. Oh, I remember that one. I remember that scene. With the help of crack CIA agent Felix Leader Jack Lord and the beautiful Honey Rider Ursula Andress, he searches for the headquarters of Dr. No, a fanatical scientist who is implementing an evil plan of world domination. Only James Bond, with his combination of wit, charm, and skills, can confront the madman and save the human race from a horrible fate. With breathtaking chases, amazing stunts, and a bold, nerve-shattering climax, this outrageously entertaining adventure pushes the envelope for non-stop thrills and magnificently sets the standards for the most popular movie series of all time. So I do remember the tarantula scenes. Do remember they two, of course, they fall in love. Also, I like, what's his name again? Felix. Felix is the inventor that gives James Bond several different gadgets for his mission to be successful. I always love seeing in James Bond movie the gadgets and the equipment that he uses to get through some tight situations and be able to stay alive. Sometimes the gadgets come in very necessary moments, and this one is also pretty good. I also like watching this one. Of course, I like it. So I'm gonna rate this one. I'm gonna rate it a 7.1 for this one. Dr. No, Sean Connery, 007. The next 007, I think I remember this one as well. It is called Diamonds Are Forever. So that is that right there, and there's the back Like I said, I don't remember a lot of the James Bond movie because it's been a long time since I've watched them. But oh, this is also PG rated, so there you go. It says a fortune in diamonds thrust James Bond into explosive danger. Sean Connery returns to his greatest role in this thrilling 007 adventure laced with action and humor and amazing special effects. When Bond investigates mysterious activities in the world diamond market, he discovers that the evil Ernest Blofeld, Charles Gray, is stockpiling the precious gems to use in his deadly laser satellite. Capable of destroying massive targets on land, sea, and air, Bond, with the help of beautiful smuggler Tiffany Case, Jill St. John, sets out to stop the madman, but first he must grapple with a host of enemies. He confronts offbeat assassins Mr. Went and Mr. Kidd. Oh, these two guys. These guys are kind of iconic, as well as Bambi and Thumper, two scantily clad beauties who are more than a match for Bond in hand-to-hand combat. Finally, there's the reclusive billionaire Willard White, Jimmy Dean, who just may hold a vital clue to Blofeld's whereabouts. As the rapid-fire action kicks into overdrive, there's a big moon buggy chase, a wild pursuit through the streets of Las Vegas, and a large-scale aerial assault in which the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Diamonds Are Forever is a dynamic, full-throttle thriller of highest caliber. Alright, some of the things that I do remember is Mr. Wit and Mr. Kidd. These are these two gentlemen. One of them had glasses, beard, and they were able to make Mr. Bond's mission a little bit difficult. And here's the case. I remember towards the end they get defeated by kebab skewers on fire, and 007 where James Bond was able to outwit them. I remember also a scene where them two were able to have James Bond unconscious, and they put him in a cylinder cement concrete construction where they planned to kill him by the construction workers filling it with dirt. Thankfully, 007 James Bond was able to get there out safely. And then there's the mention of Bambi and Thumper. Those two women are just gymnasts who are aerobically talented. Was able to give James Bond a hard time. Them two are under the control of this guy. Well, not under the control. They're kind of like bodyguards or assistants. I'm not sure on that. But James Bond was able to go through a lot of things in this movie. And of course, a satellite laser to a pretty evil person like type of thing. So this one, I will give this one, I'll give for this rating a 7.5 out of 10. For this one, Diamonds Are Forever. But pretty fun movie. Now, my favorite James Bond movie so far, just because, like I said before, it is You Only Live Twice, James Bond. Now, this is right here. I'm gonna showcase the back, this one. The reason why I like this one a lot is because this is set on Japan, which was pretty interesting, and you get to see Japan culture, Japan style, and this is also rated PG, of course. And let's see what this is about. I'm pretty more familiar with this movie just because it's one of my favorites, but let's just read just in case, so to recall my memory. It says, James Bond is thrust into one of his most amazing adventures in this relentless juggernaut of danger. Passion and non-stop excitement, Sean Connery portrays Agent 007 with the class and appeal befitting film history's original action hero. After a mysterious rocket ship seizes manned space missions from Earth's orbit, suspicions mount and the world superpowers are hurled to the brink of war. Their only hope rests with James Bond, who races to stop the space-jacking true mastermind Ernest Blofeld, Donald Pleasance, chief of the evil Spectra organization. Blofeld is bent on instigating global warfare with his massive headquarters nestled into an inactive volcano. As the countdown begins, John joins forces with luscious Japanese agent Kissy Suzuki Hama and scores of ninja warriors to mount a daring raid on Blofeld lair and prevent a calamitous world war. With dazzling high-tech gadgetry that includes Bond's lethal mini chopper equipped with flamethrowers and air-to-air missiles, You Only Live Twice is a magnificent pull-out-the-stops movie spectacular. So I do remember there was an all-out fight scene, the final fight with ninjas and workers with machine guns. The ninjas army was pulled out from the James Bond side to rescue them. Of course, even though they're ninjas, they do have swords. They do also have automatic weapons as well. Also, the scene where James Bond flew with the helicopter. The helicopter was pretty interesting. It's a one-person helicopter seat, and this guy right here, he's the evil guy doing the classic evil person with stroking the white cat and having the evil chair and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting to see. One of my favorites. Actually, I remember James Bond in this movie gets married to a Japanese woman. So that was pretty interesting to see as well. I love traditional clothing, so I get to see Japanese wedding clothing being in action in this movie. Seeing James Bond in Japan was pretty all around a nice thing to see. So definitely one of my favorites. I'll give this a 7.8 out of 10 for You Only Live Twice. So yeah, I think those are all the James Bond movie that I have currently. I'm pretty sure I have maybe some around here and there, but I can't find any. So, let's just continue. Speaking of secret agents, here's one right here. So this one, Agent Cody Banks with Frank Muniz and Hilary Duff. Very popular, very classic movie. I've also seen the second one, which is based on London, but I'm going to read this one. It says Frankie Muniz, Malcolm in the Middle. That's also Hilary Duff, Lindsay McGuire, of course, star in this clever and live-action adventure about a junior CIA agent on a mission to save the world, stop the bad guys, and get the girl, all before curfew. Featuring cool gadgetry, exciting special effects, and the best skateboard chase ever captured on film, Agent Cody Banks delivers great fun for the entire family. And this is rated PG, which is good. And this one, this is the beginning of Agent Cody Banks, of how he got into the Secret Service, being a spy. He was just an ordinary kid. I remember in a locker room gym scene where there's this female agent that came to Cody and said like, the world needs you or something. And he got into the secret agent stuff. He became a spy and he's trying to save the girl. Some guy who probably wants to take over the world type of stuff. I don't remember too much from it, but I do know that Cody's life changes when he's in the secret agent stuff. So it is a very fun movie. I really love watching this because it's a lot of fun. There's good action scenes as well. So for this one, I'm gonna rate this a 7.4. I'm gonna rate this Agent Cody Banks 7.4. Now, once I open this, as you can see, there is no CD for this, unfortunately. I don't know where the CD went, but the next movie that I would like to discuss is this one, which we do have a CD for this, which is Spy Kids 3D. So I have seen Spy Kids 1 and 2, of course, but Spy Kids 3D was very different just because it is a 3D version, meaning that you need these 3D glasses. I don't know if people remember that. In movie theaters, they would hand out like 3D glasses for you to see, and without it, if you see the movie without it, then the whole screen is going to be like green and red in blurry vision. So that was pretty interesting to see on film. So yeah, Spy Kids 3D, you have Judy Cortez and Carmen Cortez, sister and brother. The sister went missing, so Judy has to go to the CIA kind of thing. I forgot what it was called, but it is basically similar to like secret agent stuff. He eventually goes into a game that's been taking the minds of kids everywhere. So he's on a mission to stop that. He eventually meets a couple of new side characters and a love interest, and eventually he's able to be the guy. Basically, you'll see what I'm talking about once you see the movie. He eventually finds his sister, who previously went to the game but haven't returned. Get to see the family get together, where towards this scene, I think the main villain is Sylvester Stallone, the actor, and they are able to defeat the enemy by calling in everyone, like grandparents, parents, and friends, previous people from previous movies. So I encourage people to watch 1 and 2 as well, because some of the characters will be coming in this movie. There's Danny Trejo, the uncle, along with the first movie villain, and then the second movie side character that was very helpful in the movie. So this one was pretty fun to watch, definitely. Very nostalgic for sure. Spy Kids, I seen that they made another Spy Kids after that, but it doesn't look too interesting to me, unfortunately. I'm just gonna leave it to where my childhood of seeing these two in the screen of Spy Kids. So for Spy Kids 3D, I'm gonna give it an 8.3 just because it was just fun to watch. There's a racing scene, there's like a battle scene and all that. It has everything. And also Judy is accompanied by his grandpa, who was in a wheelchair, but in the game he now can walk freely because of its suit. So there's a lot of things going on. If you enjoy Spy Kids, definitely go watch it if you haven't done so. So yeah, so that's Cody Banks and Spy Kids 3D. Next up, we have classic movies called Dennis the Menace. So I have already talked about Dennis the Menace before with the G-rated movies, so I don't think I need to explain too much on this. But this is one of my favorite Dennis the Menace that I grew up with. I know that there are other previous Dennis the Menace movies, but I haven't watched them as I was a kid or younger. So the memorabilia of this is much stronger than some other people that might have seen the previous ones. And this one is definitely a good favorite of mine. It's comedy, it's fun, and so I'm gonna rate this one. If you want my take on what I thought of this movie, go check out it on the previous movies. It'll be there. I'm gonna give this a 7.7 just because it was a fun movie to watch. So 7.7 for Dennis the Menace Strikes Again. Okay, moving on. We are continuing this. Now the next movie that I would like to showcase to you is called Peter Pan. Now, Peter Pan is much of a classic, iconic, one of the movies that Walt Disney has. It's a classic story about Peter Pan, Wendy, and then her two other siblings. This one right here, and Tinkerbell, of course. This one right here, I'm pretty sure a lot of people might recognize or know about Peter Pan. But first, let me just read this real quick. Take to the skies for the most magical, musical, and animated adventure of all time with the one and only Peter Pan. In the grand Disney tradition, this timeless tale springs to life with breathtaking artistry, memorable songs, and unforgettable characters. Join mischievous Peter Pan, the young boy who refuses to grow up, his hot-tempered pixie companion Tinkerbell, and the wide-eyed darling children as they soar away to mysterious Neverland, the enchanting island world where childhood lasts forever. Together, you'll meet wild Native Americans, merry mermaids, plundering pirates, and Peter's arch rival Captain Hook, the most notorious warring villain of them all. Just take the second star to the right and go straight till morning, and you too will reach this wonderful place. For once you'll let your heart take flight, you can never grow old. So this is rated G. So Captain Hook is the main villain of this story. So first, let me showcase the front, this the side, and this is the back. So we have Captain Hook as the main villain. He's the pirate, is the main rival to Peter Pan. Peter Pan also has the Lost Boys, who he takes care of. So basically, Peter Pan goes into their world and invites Wendy and her siblings to go on an adventure to this place right here, the Neverland, where all of the people there never gets old. So including Peter Pan, all the Lost Boys, and them will never get old, which means, I don't know, time has stopped or something like that. So it is a pretty fun movie to watch. You'll see Captain Hook trying to stop Peter Pan and Peter Pan trying to stop Captain Hook. And then there's this crocodile iconic scene, and there's the crocodile having like a clock in his belly. So that's an iconic scene as well. I think it's just going through adventures and experiencing the world building of the Neverland. That is basically what I remember. This has been a long time movie, so I don't remember too much from it, all the details, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people recognizes or have heard of Peter Pan, and his weapon is like this dagger here. That's his only weapon, and then he could fly with Tinkerbell, who has pixie dust that allows people to fly. So yeah, pretty light story, nothing too crazy, but it is very iconic. I'm going to rate Peter Pan, the first one, as 6 over 10. So 6/10 for Peter Pan. All right, next up we have the second part, Peter Pan Return to Neverland. So right here, we still have Peter Pan, we still have Captain Hook, we got Tinkerbell, and this new character. Let me first read the back of it to get a little bit more information. So this says, a charming sequel that pays homage to the classic film. The magical enchantment of Peter Pan is back to Return to Neverland, a charming successor to the classic. Julie Washington, the plain dealer Cleveland. Moviegoers of all ages were dazzled by this new adventure, full of as much much fun, fantasy, and flight as the original. Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and Lost Boys, Captain Hook, and Smee return, and you'll meet Jane, Wendy's skeptical daughter who has outgrown her mother's childhood tales of Peter Pan. Jane no longer believes in magic or fairy tales, but when Captain Hook's pirate ship swoops down upon London and carries Jane off to Neverland, her imagination is set free by Peter Pan himself. The crafty pirate sets a trap for Peter Pan and Tink, and only Jane can help. It is up to her to call upon faith, trust, and pixie dust to take flight to save Peter Pan and all of Neverland. Featuring marvelous animation, all new music, and high-flying adventure from start to finish, Return to Neverland is fantastic Disney fun for the young and young at heart. You'll want to return to Neverland again and again. So this is basically Wendy's daughter. So we see in the previous movie that Wendy and her siblings went to Neverland, but this time Jane, the new character, she is in the beginning, I think there was a war going on and her father was at war. So her mother and her little brother, her mother Wendy would talk stories about Peter Pan to the little boy. And I remember she came to their house having a surprise present for her little brother, and she gave him socks as a present. So that's the thing I remember. The other thing is that Captain Hook now captures Jane because he thought she was Wendy. She is not Wendy, so she gets captured by Captain Hook and taken away to Neverland, and that's how the story goes. Then she comes across Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. Peter Pan thought she was Wendy, but he was surprised that Wendy has a child. And towards the end of the story, spoiler alert, he gets to meet Wendy in her adult form. But they have like a bittersweet goodbye moment here and there. And you'll just see her trying to wrap her brain around how this fairy tale could be real. So she just tries to survive on her own. A scene that I remember was she being alone in like a winter forest and trying to build a fire, and she doubts a lot of this fairy tale magic, which with normal people it is understandable. And she has some arguments with Peter Pan, some arguments with Tinkerbell. And then towards close to the end, in the climax, Peter Pan and the Lost Boys get captured by Captain Hook. So Jane, now understanding that she needs to do something, teams up with Tinkerbell to save Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. And then eventually towards the end, they were able to win, and Jane was able to return back to her home in London, and they were able to have a family gathering with her father who came back from the war, Wendy and her little brother and her as a happy family, saying their goodbyes, and that's pretty much the end of the story. So it is a nice sequel. It's good to see from the previous movie of Wendy growing up, seeing her adult and having her children, and then passing down that legend or that fairy tale down to her children, so that way they know the story of what she went through and her experiences. So I think that is a good message to have. Oh, there's a new creature, the octopus. I don't think the octopus has been shown in the previous movie, but in this movie, the octopus is a new character for sure. And then the crocodile, I don't think we see him too much in this movie. I think they replace it with the octopus instead, which is fine. It's always nice to see a new character. And she gets friendly with the Lost Boys and then friendly with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, so everything goes well. So yeah, that is Peter Pan Return to Neverland. And for rating, I'm going to rate this as 3.3. Just because there are some parts that I thought could have improved, but it is a nice story, a nice movie to watch, so that is that. So 3.3 for Peter Pan Return to Neverland. Alright, next up we have Tarzan. One of my favorites, Tarzan, the boy who grew up in the jungle and was raised by apes. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about Tarzan. I think Tarzan, there are some Tarzan movies in the past, and there's some live action and recent Tarzan movies that you could watch as well. I also love the TV series of Tarzan. The Tarzan, I don't know the full name, but there's a TV show of Tarzan. You get to see Tarzan in the jungle with Jane and her father, who is the professor, and going through several different adventures. I can remember there's like a mining adventure, how the miners were trying to find gold, but they were polluting the water, so Tarzan had to deal with that. There's also a new character, Queen Law, who is a sorcerer, or she is able to turn regular animals into her henchmen, animal man form. So that was pretty interesting. There was also Jane, who she brought her 3 friends from London, and they go through a survival type of time in the jungle. So that was pretty interesting. So I do like that as well. I've also seen some of the live action, but for those who haven't seen Tarzan or don't know about Tarzan, let's first read in the back here. So it says here, wild and with exotic adventure and packing an impressive cargo of laughs, thrills, and wonders. Disney's Tarzan is a magnificent adaptation of Edgar Rice Burroughs' classic story of the ape man. Deep within the African jungle, a mama gorilla names an orphan baby boy Tarzan and adopts him as her own. Even though the silverback leader Kerchak shuns the hairless wonder, growing up alongside his wisecracking ape buddy Turk and neurotic elephant pal Tantor, Tarzan develops all the instincts and powers of a jungle animal, surfing and swinging through the trees at lightning speed. But with the sudden appearance of Tarzan's own kind, including the beautiful Jane, 2 worlds are about to become one. Driven by 5 powerful songs written and performed by pop star Phil Collins and starring the voice of talents of Minnie Driver, Glenn Close, and hilarious Rosie O'Donnell, Disney's Tarzan delivers incredible adventure as well as important reminders about acceptance and family. Which I think this is a perfect story to talk about family, because in the beginning, Tarzan's family, mom and dad, traveled into the jungle. I don't know the reason why. Maybe they were trying to run away or something. I don't know the whole context of the backstory. But they built a home for themselves. The 3 of them were living quite well in the jungle. They made like a house, like a tree house up above. But unfortunately, they were attacked by a jaguar. And the jaguar killed Tarzan's mom and father. And so her, the ape mama, saved Tarzan, the baby, from that jaguar, and she was able to raise Tarzan as her own son, which is a very interesting message. It could be applied to real world events. And so he grew up to be Tarzan, the ape man, and he go through his training of becoming a part of the ape community. So he is now in that situation. So in the Tarzan movie, you get to see right here, baby mama saved him as a baby. Basically, she adopted, which is a nice theme to cover. And you see the back here, and then let me open. We have the videotape. So continuing, I remembered there's also in the Tarzan TV show, there's also a rhino scene where Tarzan uses dynamite, TNT, to create a solution for the rhino. To make a new home for them, because their home was occupied by other humans. So there's also a scene for that. There's a lot of amazing songs and music, such as You'll Be in My Heart or 2 Worlds, 1 Family. So there's a lot of good music in this movie as well. I really like this. For example, let me start with the story in my mind. So we got Tarzan. He was living in the jungle peacefully. He grown up to be an ape man like he's intended. But then all of a sudden in the jungle, there comes a cruise ship full of humans that comes by. And some of the humans include Jane, which is the love interest for Tarzan. Brought her father, or the father brought her. I think they came because the father was trying to explore and do some experiments. He's like a scientist. And there was also a hunter that came. So I forgot the hunter's name, but he's the main villain of the story. And he just wants to come to the jungle to capture wild animals, including apes. So Tarzan was kind of hesitant, but he became comfortable with the humans. He was able to understand them. However, he trusted them too much that he showed them the ape community. And because of that, the hunter now gets the bright idea to capture all of the gorillas. And when that happened, he brought a lot more men with him to capture the animals. And Tarzan was captured, but then Kirk and Tantor was able to rescue him. And then there was this final battle to where the end, Tarzan and all of them won. However, spoiler alert, Kirkan, the leader gorilla in the gorilla community, has died, unfortunately. But before he passed, Tarzan was going up to him and the main leader gorilla told Tarzan, "You are my son." So that was a very emotional part for Tarzan. Sad thing to see, but this is a very good movie to watch. I really enjoy Tarzan. It's a great adventure. It really sticks along with the music and songs and comedy and action. There's so much things that you could look forward to in this movie, so definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. Also, you could look at other Tarzan movies or TV shows if you want to as well. So for the rating for this, I will give it an 8.6. 8.6 for Tarzan. The next one is Mulan. So I already talked about Mulan. Let me just show you the cover right there and the back. Unfortunately, we don't have the VHS tape. I don't know where it went, but Mulan is something that we had in VHS tape. Very iconic classic. I already talked about Mulan in my previous video, so if you want to hear my thoughts on this, go check it out. But Mulan is very good. I watched the live action, like I mentioned. I was very disappointed because I was really hyped. I was having high expectations of the live action Mulan. It was like during 2019, before 2020 of its release. So I was expecting a lot, but unfortunately, I didn't understand the Phoenix part of it. The villain characters was kind of lacking, and there was no music. Unlike Mulan, where there's iconic musicals and songs that was able to make this movie perfect. And Mushu, there was no Mushu for some reason, but anyways, this is Mulan, definitely one of my favorites. I'm gonna rate it real quick because, like I said, I already talked about this. Mulan, since it's my biased favorite, I'm gonna give this a 9.2 out of 10. So Mulan, 9.2. Another movie that I have already talked about is A Bug's Life. So this one is very good and very fun movie to watch for sure. So I'm just gonna show you the side and then the back, and then if you open up, we do have the case for it. So I'm not gonna explain as well of what goes on in this movie because I already explained it in the previous video, so don't go and check it out. So I'm just gonna rate this real quick. It's one of my favorite movies for sure. So I'm just gonna rate this as 8.3. So 8.3 for A Bug's Life. Another classic, iconic, very OG movie, which is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, there is so many Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs adaptation, remakes, probably all kinds of Snow White type of creation out there, movies. I've seen some of them. It is a very memorable movie. I think this movie has a great history when it comes to Walt Disney and its production. So definitely this is a historical movie that is like a museum for Disney. Like, this is one of the key movies of showcasing the animation side of things, so it definitely has some historical impact in it. So let's read what this is about, even though I know that a lot of people know about the story of Snow White, even if it's like people from the older generation or the younger generation. But it says here, the most revered of all Disney films, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is alive with fairy tale magic, heart-pounding suspense, and rousing adventure. Once Snow White's vain stepmother, the Wicked Queen, consults her magic mirror to learn that her stepdaughter's beauty surpasses her own. The lovely young girl must flee into the forest. There she meets seven lovely dwarves: Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Happy, Doc, and Rough-Edged Grumpy. But even their devotion cannot save her from the queen's spell, the spell that can only be battled by a prince. Now, through high-definition, direct-to-digital technology, you can own the one that started it all. The first full-length animated feature ever created, lovingly restored for a memorable entertainment experience for all ages. So this is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Here's the side of it, VHS tape right there, and we have the tape right here. So I guess just to explain it real quick, Snow White, the stepmother, the evil queen who knows a little bit of spells, and then here's Snow White, the fairest of them all. She's named Snow White just because her fair skin and her dark hair. And the very iconic is the poison apple. So basically what happens is that she was under her stepmother. She was kind of into a servitude position, but then she got angry because the mirror that she talks to tells her that she is more beautiful than she is. So she sent a hunter to execute her. So, but the hunter couldn't do it. She was able to run away in the forest. That's when she was able to come across the 7 dwarves that lived in the forest. They are miners, I believe, and then they collect jewels, gems, and a lot of shiny stuff. And they were able to take her in, and she was able to teach them how to be clean, proper manner, be able to be less messy and stuff like that. And they were able to have happy moments with Snow White. Snow White, she has the ability to sing, and all the animals come by to her. So she has a lovely voice that the animals enjoy being accompanied by. And through, over the time, they were able to have a happy time with each other. However, the queen somehow manages to realize that Snow White is still alive. So she decided to transform herself into an old woman, a creepy old woman, that she brought Snow White a poison apple to kill her. And Snow White, in the story, she is very kind and nice, so she took the offer from a stranger, an old woman, to eat the apple, and she fell into a deep sleep. At that point, the dwarves decided to chase after the old woman, the witch, and she was able to be defeated. However, the 7 dwarves could not wake Snow White until a prince came by and gave her true love's kiss, and she was able to wake up, kind of like Sleeping Beauty, and they lived happily ever after. Kind of a typical fairy tale story, but this typical fairy tale story is very iconic. This is a very basic foundation of a lot of Disney princesses story, where the princess is in trouble, the prince saves her. But yeah, this is a very good movie. I will give this rating a 7 out of 10. So 7 out of 10 for Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, the OG version, the very beginning. Okay, so this is a movie that I haven't seen before. This one definitely, my mom probably seen it, which is My Fair Lady. So let me just first show you this. So this is like a romance. This is rated G, which is good. And I'm gonna read this real quick and see what this is all about. It says, in the New York Times, it's all here. Humor, satiric wit, and pomp and mellow grace of romantic and gone forever age music that sings in one's ear. Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison star as an unforgettable Eliza Doolittle and Professor Henry Higgins in one of the most beloved movie musicals of all time. This engaging tale of a Cockney flower girl becoming a belle of British society won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. The lush, colorful photography, glorious sets, wonderful costumes, and soaring musical score also captured Oscars, earning this enchanting musical a unique place in film history. A feast for the eyes and ears. My Fair Lady delivers a breathtaking entertainment experience for the whole family. So, 1964, approximately 171 minutes in color. So this looks very interesting. I think this is probably an iconic movie for sure. I've heard the music, My Fair Lady. Maybe that music or song came from this movie, who knows? Or it came from the source. So I haven't seen this, so I can't rate it, unfortunately. But I would probably check it out if I have time for it. When the mood arises. So this is My Fair Lady. So this is something that we had. Okay, just real quick, I remember before in one of the videos I said that there are 4 bags of VHS tapes and DVDs. I came down looking more clearly and there's actually 6. So just to let you guys know that there are many more movies that I was able to find, and I'm going to try to showcase them all, which I tried to do. But there are some movies that I have already given out to some people, or some people have already taken it, or we just lost it and couldn't find it, and I don't know where it is. But I wrote down some list of movies that I for sure kind of know that we had in my memory on a piece of paper. So I'm just gonna go over them real quick, so that way you guys know that I'm trying my best to not miss anything as much as possible. I'm pretty sure I missed some movies here and there just because I couldn't remember every single movie, VHS or DVD movie that we had, but this is the best I could do, so bear with me. So I'm gonna start out with the first one, The Secret of NIMH Part 2. I remember we have the DVD version of it, and I really enjoyed that movie. It wasn't that amazing, but it is a sequel to The Secrets of NIMH 1. I kind of looked at it very briefly. I remember the part 1 was pretty dark. Dark colors, dark themes, dark vibe with it. So I remember more on The Secrets of NIMH 2 than 1. So since I don't have The Secrets of NIMH, the DVD case, I'll have to explain it just through memory. So here it goes. So The Secrets of NIMH is basically about talking mouses, and talking animals as well. In the beginning, the rats were in like a cage experiment. So before they weren't able to talk, however, because of a chemical drug or some type of item, they were able to become more aware of how to be a little bit more smarter, and they were able to communicate and talk. Kind of like the Planet of Apes, how a chemical has released and they were able to think more intelligently. This is kind of that story except for a mouse rat version. So The Secrets of NIMH Part 2 goes into detail of how probably the past prequel, how they discovered a place for the rat community to stay. However, Tim, the main character, he and his brother or friend, I think we'll say it's his brother. His brother, they were very close, played together, and they had a special relationship. However, it's been a long time since I watched this movie, so I might not have all the details. But basically, Tim, his brother, was captured and kidnapped by a scientist. And Tim goes on a journey to rescue his brother, and he was able to meet alongside new companions, and there's also a love interest that he found as well. He was also have like a feathered friend, a bird, who helped him along the journey as well. Maybe, I think he was also part of the first movie, I'm not sure because it's been a long time, but he was able to help, and Tim was going to rescue his brother. Now, fast forward, he was able to meet his brother, but he is now an evil rat now. Now, he wants to take over the land of where the rats are living. So Tim has to put a stop to his brother, and he has to fight against his brother. And towards the end, they were able to work together and save. Also, there was also kidnapped citizens, rat citizens. They were able to free them. They were kind of like some freedom fighters here and there. There was 2 cats that are bodyguards that they had to face. They faced a lot of obstacles, hardships, and struggles, but they were able to come on top, and Tim was able to rescue his brother, bring his brother back home, and they lived happily ever after. And Tim, from the beginning, always wanted to be a hero. I remember he looked up to a statue of the previous hero, and he had that hero complex, I guess you could say, that he wanted to do something great. And eventually he was able to do so, and that is the end of the story. So pretty good, solid movie to watch. Now for the rating, I'm gonna give it a 5.9. I'm gonna give it a 5.9 for Secrets of NIMH Part 2. Now the next one, I for sure know that we had this. We had the VHS tape of Rush Hour 2 with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. So very iconic, one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies of all time, if not the best. So since I don't have the VHS tape, I don't know where it went, unfortunately, so I'll have to explain it through memory. But basically you have Inspector Lee, which is Jackie Chan, and Chris Tucker, who plays as Detective Carter. Okay, so going from the first movie, Rush Hour 1, Chris Tucker came to China to have a vacation. So unfortunately, there has been an assassination of a bomb, and Detective Inspector Lee has to find Ricky Tan. He is the main villain of the story, and he and Carter are on vacation, but they are on the move to find who the killer is. And there's the triads, and then there's a lot of action scenes. Also, there is some massage parlor scene that is very iconic as well. So maybe it might be appropriate to some audience, but maybe not. But that is a very iconic scene as well in the Rush Hour 2 movie. But other than that, there's a lot of iconic funny scenes as well. There's the fight scene in the massage spa parlor. There was also the scene where they were defeated because there were so many men they have to face, and they came to the police station a little bit butt naked. And then this is the conflict that Inspector Lee and Detective Carter had. Detective Carter wants to have fun and enjoy his vacation, but Inspector Lee is kind of strict and wanted to accomplish his mission. And so they were able to have this back and forth. Eventually, they were able to have a lead on the bad guys. However, they were kidnapped or captured. Then they were transported into a casino. That is the final scene of it. There's also a new character. I forgot her name, but she is an assistant to Ricky Tan. She is a great fighter and very skilled in her works. So, and then there were also an FBI agent, a woman. I forgot her name, but she's a very popular actress. She was able to help Inspector Lee and Detective Carter on their mission to find Ricky Tan, see where all the mystery solving goes down. Casino is the final area where they face off. So Inspector Lee faces off Ricky Tan, and Detective Carter faces against the Chinese assistant. So they were able to come on top. They were able to succeed. It was pretty tough for them because one time the boss kind of fired them or put them on hold or separated them. So they had to find ways and going against orders. So they were able to come together and work together, and towards the end they were able to be successful and they saved the day. So it is a very fun movie to watch. I know I said fun probably a couple of times, but this is some biased opinion of mine. This is my top-notch favorite. Rush Hour is very iconic. Of course, a lot of people do enjoy this movie, me included. I also watched Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 3, along with several other Jackie Chan movies. But I think Inspector Lee, Jackie Chan, and Chris Tucker worked really well with this movie. They probably made a lot of money from this, so you know just how good it is. So without that being said, I'm just going to start with the rating. So for the rating of this movie, I'm going to rate Rush Hour 2. I'm going to rate Rush Hour 2 a 9.8 just because it's one of my favorites and I have a huge bias on it. So that is Rush Hour 2, 9.8. Now the next one is Good Boy. Now I have watched it and I don't remember too much on it, unfortunately. However, what I do remember is that with Good Boy, it is a young boy who came across dogs who can talk. Now I think these dogs come from a different planet, a dog planet, and they were coming down on Earth just to capture a runaway, I think. That's all I can remember, unfortunately. I have watched the movie, but I can't come out with all the details of what happened. I don't have the case for it, unfortunately. I think we gave it out to someone, so just had to base it off on memory. But it is a very solid movie to watch. Very fun. It's family friendly, so you can watch it with your parents, your kids, so there's nothing too crazy about it. So I don't know if I could rate it per se, but I'm just gonna rate it anyways just off of feels. So I'm gonna rate it a 5.2 for Good Boy. The next one is Shark Tale, the DVD. Now Shark Tale, I have talked about it in my previous video, so if you want to look at that and check it out, you can. But Shark Tale is also a nice favorite. I really liked Shark Tale a lot just because it has Will Smith as Oscar and Laney as Jack Black, Robert De Niro as Don Lino. So there's a lot of good characters. Oh, and Angelina Jolie was played as Lola. So there's a lot of different famous actors and actresses, characters that you can enjoy watching. And it is a fun movie to watch. Talks about fish and shark, how there's the shark slayer, which is Oscar. It's all about lying, how lying is bad. It could get you into many trouble. So if you want to learn more about my thoughts on it, go watch the previous video on it. So for rating wise, I'm gonna rate Shark Tale a 6.9 for Shark Tale, 6.9. All right, the next movie is The Jungle Book 2 in DVD form. Now the Jungle Book 2, the first one I've seen, I don't know if it was a VHS tape or maybe I've seen it somewhere, but I have seen The Jungle Book 1 and I've seen The Jungle Book 2. So Unfortunately, I don't have the case, so I don't remember much, so I had to do it off from memory. So we follow Mowgli, who in the previous one, Jungle Book 1, he lived in the jungle with Bakura and Balloon, or Baboon. I forgot his name clearly, but they had a little bit of difficulty dealing with Shere Khan, the tiger who wants to eat Mowgli, so they tried to escape. So the best option that they thought was best for Mowgli, a human child, is to send him off to a human village to where they could be safe. So that is what they did in the end of the movie of Jungle Book 1. So now in Jungle Book 2, we see Mowgli being acquainted with a girl, a love interest, and a small kid. Those three characters are the main focus of the story of Jungle Book 2. So we see Mowgli coming out of the village. He got adapted to the village because he's human and humans live in the village. However, the chief or the main leader of the village tells the kids to not go out into the jungle because it's very dangerous. And Shere Khan did not go away completely. He's still lurking in the jungle. So we get to see Shere Khan again in this second movie as well. Now, I don't remember much, but I do know that Shere Khan revisits and tries to attack Mowgli. And now he's going to attack the other love interest girl for Mowgli and the little kid. However, we get to see Bakura and Balloon back into the scene, helping Mowgli to face off against Shere Khan. And we see a bunch of adventure, world building of the jungle. There is also a snake that can hypnotize. There is also a live action Jungle Book that I haven't seen yet, but I'll probably definitely will sometime in the future. But this movie was pretty okay. I would say Jungle Book is also very iconic, very heartwarming story, a nostalgic film to watch for sure. And I really enjoyed it, first one and also the second one. It's a nice sequel to it. So anyways, they were able to live happily ever after. For rating wise, for Jungle Book 2, I'm gonna give it a 5.4. So I'm gonna give a 5.4 for Jungle Book 2. Now, I showed you Mulan, the VHS tape. Now, we did have Mulan number 2 on a DVD player. So Mulan Part 2 in DVD form. This one I kind of remember, but I'm just gonna go off from memory. So we follow Mulan with Shang. They're in love with each other. However, Mushu is trying to break them up because of certain type of thing that he has to integrate, I guess. But his whole purpose now is try to separate Mulan from Shang, just so so that way Mushu can still have his position or something like that. I don't know the full detail of that, but we also follow 3 princesses from the emperor. Now, these 3 princesses are shipped off to marry a man of an arranged marriage from a different nation to strengthen or try to have like a political arrangement. But these 3 princesses are assisted by Mulan, General Shang, and the 3, Yao, Ling, and Chenpo, the 3 friends that we see in the previous Mulan, for the beginning one. So all 5 of them, including the princess, that makes 8 in total, goes on to a journey. And along the journey, the Mulan and General Shang's love is being tested because also Mushu is interrupting their love interests and their love time. So we get to see that, but eventually they were able to figure out that sometimes the mission and romance kind of conflict with each other. So they were able to figure out towards the end that they are needing of each other and trying to understand each other's feelings, and that is kind of like a different path that they took. I remember the 3 princesses fell in love with the 3 boys, 3 guards that we see in the previous, so which is very nice, very romantic part of this story. There's not a whole lot of action scenes. They do come across like bandits trying to kidnap the princesses, and they were able to face off like that. But towards the end, in the ending scene, the MVP of it was Mushu. Mushu transformed into a deity to kind of scare off the emperor over there that they were supposed to be arranged marriages. So with them scaring them off and creating their Mushu creating his own rules of the matter and saying his demands, now the 3 princesses are free from the arranged marriages, and they were able to find true love with the with the people that they are interested in. So it is a nice love story to see. So it was definitely a different take from the previous, which is more action-packed and more drama. This one feels like more romance and more fun-like type film. So that was very nice to see. Of course, Mulan is still one of my favorites, and I'm going to start rating this one. So I'm going to rate Mulan 2, the DVD version, a 6.2. So Mulan 2, a 6.2. Okay, continuing on, this might be another old one. Now, I don't know if we had this 100%, but I feel like we did, which was Pinocchio, the VHS version. So Pinocchio, a very classic, iconic, very memorable, nostalgic story of a wooden boy turning into a real boy, that type of thing. So Pinocchio, maybe a lot of people remember the story, but since I don't have the VHS tape, I can't read it off from it, so I'll probably have to do it all from memory. But Pinocchio is basically a story of a grandpa. He is kind of like a woodworker. He makes furniture out of wood and a lot of other different stuff. Now he is kind of lonely, I guess, so he decided to make a wooden boy form, a puppet, and I think he made a wish because towards the end, when the grandpa was sleeping, a fairy was able to come by and threw some magic spells to make the puppet boy come to life. Not as like a real boy, but as like a puppet. Now, Pinocchio's thing is that if he lies, his nose will grow. So that's kind of like his ability, I guess. So the grandpa was so excited, he was able to meet Pinocchio, a live puppet coming to life kind of thing, which is kind of interesting to see. And so they have their time together. There's also another side character, Jiminy Cricket, which is also very iconic because Jiminy Cricket is kind of like Pinocchio's thoughts of being cautious, safe. Pinocchio, since he's a boy, he's always performing childish acts and he's always going off based off what he wants to do, which isn't always the best idea to have because you need some reserve. We see sort of like the ongoing story of Pinocchio getting into a little bit of trouble. Now, it's been a long time since I watched Pinocchio, very long time. I'm only saying the parts that I do remember, but I do remember that Pinocchio gets either kidnapped from an adult and sent into an amusement park. There was like a Ferris wheels, a lot of other stuff like a circus, and then we get to meet a more traumatic event where I remember there was a kid who was playing pool and I think he was drinking and smoking. Now, for a children's movie, that is quite a tough thing to present to kids. This is a children's movie. I'm pretty sure it's like rated G or something, but it was pretty shocking to see that type of theme presented in this movie. And another traumatic scene was like the guy who was smoking and drinking all of a sudden turned into donkeys, which I don't really know how that's possible or how that's able to be, or maybe it is like a metaphor or something. I completely don't remember what the idea came from that performances, but unfortunately that is something that happened. And then the other iconic thing about Pinocchio is that he gets swallowed up by a giant whale. So I think it was him and the father that got swallowed into the whale, but they were able to come out eventually. But that was an iconic scene that you will see in Pinocchio. And later on, they go through a lot of hardships and trials, and then towards the end, Pinocchio eventually becomes a real boy, which is the end, which is the classic ending. And they were able to live happily ever after, and that's pretty much the movie of Pinocchio. For Pinocchio, I'm going to rate it now. I'm going to give it a 6.1 out of 10. So I'm going to give it a 6.1 for Pinocchio. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of movies here and there just because there are so much and I couldn't find everything and I can't remember everything. So unfortunately, everything that you see here is just based off my assurance of myself and the actual physical hard copies of the DVDs and VHS tapes of the movies that I have discussed. Now, maybe the other movies are somewhere out and about, but unfortunately I can't present it here, so these will be my last showing. So this is the last movie that I can remember. Another thing that you should know is that some of the VHS tapes were recorded Korean dramas, or more precisely, historical Korean dramas, which is what I also grew up watching. Me and my dad would go to the local Korean market to rent or buy the next episode of whatever was available at that time. These were recorded VHS tapes from Korean television. Alongside is some of DVDs that my dad would burn on his computer. From movies, TV shows, and sitcoms, the example CD here that I'm showing you is called 무한도전, or called Infinite Challenge, which was a popular Korean TV show, so there was a lot of these VHS and CDs scattered around in the house, and I thought I should mention this just in case. So that is all of the movies that I have for you guys that I had in the VHS tapes or maybe DVDs. So those are all of the movies that I have presented to you that I could remember. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a long video to go through, but thank you guys, and hopefully I'll see you soon. So anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.